There are things man was not meant to know. But that doesn't mean that they don't know us. When you stare off into space and it blinks back at you. When the creature under your bed calls some friends over for dinner. When your very sanity is hanging by a thread, there is one place you can turn to.
Lovecraft's detective agency. If you're sane enough to ask, you probably don't need our help. No, I'm sorry, we don't do vampires, only unknowable and unspeakable horrors. Yes, I'm sure it is a little disturbing. No, I can't say I do know how much it costs to treat anemia. Look, let me ask you a question. How do you kill a vampire? That's right. A stake through the heart, cut off the head, and burn them in 2 separate locations. Very good. Now, follow-up question. Do you realize that you were able to both know and speak it at the same time? And do you now see where your problem falls, or rather does not fall, on the unknowable and unspeakable horror spectrum? Why, yes, thank you. I probably will die horribly. Now, sparkly vampires, those are unspeakable.
You wish.
Do we have any more coffee?
I have here a pot full of a dark liquid. It could be coffee, it could be oil. It could be the ichor of a darkling god. Do you feel like taking a chance?
Why would there be ichor in a coffee pot?
Morty, the fact that you question the location of the ichor before the existence of the ichor is probably more telling than any answer I can give.
Touché. Does it smell like coffee?
It does.
Then I will take the risk. Thank you. Any appointments today?
That one.
You are a model of efficiency, my dear. Please show our guest in.
Come in, please.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, sir, madam. I'm Mordecai Lovecraft, and this is my assistant, Gladys.
Hello, Mr. Lovecraft. I'm Jeremiah Lyons. This is my wife, Elise.
No.
I'm sorry?
Oh, my mistake. The no was directed at your claim to be married at all, much less to this lovely young lady. Your name may or may not be real, though as I look at your face just now, I suspect it isn't.
Say that again?
I don't think I will. Instead, I will ask you to say your introductions again, but this time to limit your statements to the factual.
I don't understand.
That's the second time you've lied to me, sir. Don't make it a third. Madam, since your fictitious husband apparently refuses to perform so civil a task as providing me with introductory information of the accurate variety, I must turn to you. Pray, who are you?
How did you know we weren't married?
I will assume that is an inquiry, not a name, though I asked for the latter, not the former. At the risk of providing an answer which will elicit yet still more questions, I will tell you. I can see auras, and yours are not connected. You are not married, you are not lovers, and you never have been.
You see auras?
And the predicted follow-up question makes its appearance. Yes, I can see auras. Now, I have provided information about myself, which is customary upon meeting new people, and information about you, which is not. The laws of fairness would seem to indicate that it is high time that one or the other, or both of you, for all I care, would provide additional information. Namely, who are you and what do you want?
I'm Janet Worthington, and his name is Ian. I can't tell you his last name because it's classified.
Agent.
Agent? NSA?
FBI, and he's military intelligence.
That's enough.
Well...
If I might interrupt.
Interrupt? You haven't stopped talking for more than a minute.
You get used to that.
We aren't getting anywhere with the ruse, and we don't have time for this.
This is a very sensitive matter.
For which you have developed a very flimsy cover story. Look, would it help if I told you I've worked for the government before?
Actually, it would.
That's a shame, because if I had worked for the government, they would have sworn me to secrecy, and I wouldn't be able to tell you anything.
Mr. Lovecraft, we came here because you may be the only investigator in the world who specializes in this kind of thing.
What makes you say that?
Because we aren't really sure that there even is a this kind of thing.
I does sound like you've come to the right place. Gladys, would you hand me my hat, please?
Wait, we haven't even told you any of the details.
It took me 10 minutes to get your names. I figure we can talk on the way. Remind me again, where was the ship before it arrived in port?
I'm not going to remind you. It was classified the first time you asked, and it's still classified now.
And you say it came into port 3 days ago?
Correct.
How many teams of inspectors did you send on board and now abandoning ship to their presumable deaths before you called me?
Don't be snarky, Morty. Just the two.
Just the two? Well, they probably won't be hungry.
What?
Whatever ate the crew and the 2 teams of inspectors.
You can tell that something ate them? You haven't even been on board.
Just going with the most likely scenario.
Well, Mr. Lovecraft, you look like the tastiest one here, so what say you go first?
Gladly.
You realize that you just gave him free run of the whole ship, don't you?
Lovecraft!
Relax, Colonel.
Commander!
Yeah, don't care. Listen, you remember saying something to me about a lone survivor?
Yeah?
I think I just found her.
Ship could be this good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Were you making the coffee before?
Before everything happened? No, ma'am. But there hasn't been a lot else to do, so I got to be pretty good with the equipment in the galley.
They wouldn't let you disembark?
No, sir. I'm in something of a quarantine.
Okay, before somebody breaks out the pipe and the slippers, what can you tell us about what happened to the rest of the crew?
I really can't say.
36 men lost their lives and you can't say?
Lieutenant.
Commander.
I was talking to her.
Ensign, actually, sir.
Yeah, still don't care. My suspicion is that you're being literal and that you actually can't say what happened.
Well, yes, sir.
But you can say what you can't say.
Well spotted, Gladys, my dear.
I don't understand.
I don't think any of us do.
I deal with unspeakable horrors on a daily basis. This one seems to be particularly literal when it comes to that phrase. I suspect our seawoman,
Ensign.
our lone survivor here has had a little tampering done with her mind. She's not able to discuss anything about what happened, but we should be able to rule out some potential concerns by finding out what she can talk about.
What?
As best you are able, focus your mind on what happened here. I'm going to mention some general concepts. You tell me if I'm on the wrong track.
And what if you're on the right track?
Then our ensign won't be able to say a thing.
Let's give it a try. Are you ready? Gargantuan.
No.
Incorporeal.
No.
There. You've made some progress already. We know it wasn't a kraken or a ghost.
First he sees auras, now he sees ghosts.
My dear fellow, ghosts are nothing but auras. Now don't interrupt. Let's try tentacles.
Hostility.
Bilateral symmetry. Oh, I was afraid of that one.
Is this getting us anywhere?
Just one more. That door behind you.
Oh dear.
How did you spot it?
I'm not accustomed to doors on U.S. Navy ships having a crucifix above them.
Is the crucifix holding it back?
Well, that depends on if whatever's behind the door believes in Jesus or not.
Everyone behind me.
Captain.
Commander!
Budpole, stop! Young lady, I'm sure the rest of the men who died had considerable access to firearms. Do you have any memory of those weapons doing them any good?
No, sir.
So what do we do?
I do what I always do. Figure out what I'm facing and how to drive it away.
Okay. I'm sorry if this seems obvious to everyone else, but how are you going to figure out what you're facing if any actual knowledge of it is unspeakable?
With Gladys.
What?
Come, Gladys. Don't you remember what your mother always used to say about the spruce trees? The grand spruces which only grow in Colorado? Remember.
I remember.
Okay, seriously, what the heck just happened here?
Post-hypnotic suggestion. It's the fastest way to get Gladys into the necessary trance.
Necessary for what?
To see and to speak.
There is a certain taxonomic difficulty dealing with unspeakable horrors, as you pointed out, Agent Worthington. Generally, looking at such beings and trying to describe them is enough to drive a person entirely out of their mind.
Generally?
Well, it doesn't work if the person is already insane, and Gladys has been insane for years. I met her in an asylum.
What? She seems perfectly normal.
You were saying? Fortunately, her insanity is compartmentalized. Under hypnosis, I'm able to block out the parts of her brain that don't function to specification, and she's able to lead a mostly normal life. But I can also release her lunacy when it's convenient.
That's horrible.
If it is, I console myself with the fact that it is also how I've been able to save this version of reality for, these many years. Now, what we need to do is open the door, let Gladys look at what's inside, shut the door, and then hopefully she can give us an idea of what it is and how to get rid of it. Are you ready, Gladys?
We painted the barn door bright green yesterday.
That means yes.
It does?
Green means go. You get used to listening for what's important. Shall we?
Ensign, you're with me on the door.
And Agent Worthington, if you will take Gladys's other arm, please. You and I will face away from the door when it opens, but do be so kind as to hold on tight so that she's not dragged inside. Everybody ready? On 3. 3!
Close it!
Well, that was enough of that. Tell me, Gladys, what do we have in there?
He is the Viscount of the Great Burning, come to boil away the oceans and feast on the ashes of those left behind.
Oh, okay. What were the important things to listen for in that?
In this case, I'm afraid she was being entirely straightforward.
So, how do we kill it?
He cannot bear to see the spark.
Oh, really?
Why are you grinning like that?
Guess who's carrying a stun gun? I'm gonna send that sucker back to wherever he came from.
Actually, Commodore.
For the last time, my rank is Commander. Now stand back.
But... Close it again, please!
That was terrible.
Breakfast came late today.
I'm sorry. I did rather think that wasn't the kind of spark Gladys was referring to.
So what do we do now?
Agent Worthington, if you would be so kind as to stand right here in front of the door. Now, whatever happens, when that door opens, don't look at it. Keep your eyes on me.
What are we doing?
Has it occurred to you that I'm able to remember your name, but not the name or even the rank of our lately devoured friend?
What does that...
The reason for that, Agent Worthington, is that I find you immensely attractive, and I'm hoping my feelings are not entirely unreciprocated.
Well, this is hardly the time.
It will be in just a moment. Open the door, please.
Wait!
And if you'll be so kind as to tilt your head like so... I believe that was the spark we were looking for.
Hello.
Agent Worthington, it's a pleasure to see you. Gladys, is there coffee?
Coming up.
Oh, don't bother, Gladys. And hello to you too, by the way.
Good afternoon.
I just came by to let you know that after I filed my report on the events on board the SS Arkham, my superiors decided that your services were, in their words, incalculable.
Hopefully they will not find my agency fees to be the same.
Oh, far from it. They've asked me to consult with you in regards to a number of additional cases at your usual rates, if that's amenable to your schedule.
Let it never be said that I turned down a chance to pay the government taxes on the money it itself has given me.
I'm happy to hear that. There is one more thing, however, in regards to the kiss.
Ah.
I understand it was necessary at the time, but it was also unprofessional. While we are working together, something like that must never happen again.
Of course.
However, having delivered that message, my shift is now over. Would you like to buy me a drink?
Gladys, we're closing the office early today.
I'll tidy up before I go.
Good night, old girl.
Good night, Gladys.
Eat her eyes for dinner, for she stole my one true love.
You have been listening to the Lovecraft Detective Agency. Produced by Seat of Our Pants players, written and directed by Dan Wenzel. Mordecai was Andrew Dell.